Have you heard of a Frankenchicken?
35 days is the lifespan of a fast-growing chicken.
Animal rights campaigners call them Frankenchickens.
Frankenchicken. Their legs can't support their body weight. They're left scrabbling around in their own acrid excrement.
Most of the chicken reared in the UK is one of these fast-growing birds.
It makes them cheaper for farmers and for us to buy them at shops.
You can buy a higher welfare, slower grown chicken, but the problem is the price. It's almost twice as expensive.
For companies, the choice is far from simple. Produce chicken more sustainably or prioritise animal welfare. And the battleground for this debate? Northern Ireland, a country which produces 6 million chickens a week. Fast-grown chickens are already in our shops. For some, they're the future. For others, a step too far. So how did we get here and what happens next? From BBC News, I'm Jake. If, like me, you regularly find yourself digging around at the bottom of a bargain bucket, there's a good chance that last drumstick came from Northern Ireland. It all really goes back to the 1950s when O'Kane's of Ballymena in County Antrim were one of the first to bring broiler chickens, which are bred for their meat, over from the United States. 20 years later, the whole process became mechanised, and by 2009, O'Kane's were producing almost 1 million chickens a week. O'Kane's was purchased by rival Moy Park in 2010, and now by far the largest chicken processing firm in Northern Ireland, it processes more than 1/3 of the UK's total chicken consumption. So why do we love chicken in Northern Ireland? Our economics and business editor, John Campbell, may have one answer.
One thing about Northern Ireland, I think, is it had a very big KFC franchise because you had one very successful businessman who really grew the KFC franchise in Northern Ireland.
That businessman he was talking about is Michael Herbert, who along with his wife Leslie built up the largest KFC franchise in the UK, starting back in the 80s. In 2020, they sold their empire of 146 outlets based in the UK and Ireland for an undisclosed fee. For Michael, chicken was big business. Remember that time KFC actually ran out of chicken?
No! Angry, sad, and disappointed.
So why has this demand for chicken become so high?
Chicken is a reasonably cheap source of protein, certainly compared to beef. So if we're in a cost of living crisis, this eternal cost of living crisis, just buying chicken is a more efficient way to get your protein. From a lifestyle perspective, it is perceived as, if you like, the clean, lean protein. And you look at what is the cliched gym bro meal prep. It is chicken, it is broccoli, and it is rice. So chicken features really, really heavily in that gym culture. We can also think about what's happening on the demand side. What else is driving demand? Big change in how chicken is sold and marketed as a takeaway food.
To keep up with all that demand, the size of the chickens themselves has increased significantly. This is where the term Frankenchicken comes in. It refers to the modern broiler chicken, which is grown for its meat. Since they were brought to the UK from America in the 1950s, they've been bred to grow 4 times faster and 3 times the size. Just to put that in perspective, it's the equivalent to a human baby growing to the size of an adult tiger in the space of 5 weeks. I spoke to the BBC's agriculture correspondent Louise Cullen to find out more about these American chickens.
Fundamentally, it's about putting as much meat on the bird as quickly as possible. And about 80% of supermarket chickens in the UK are these kinds of birds.
Animal rights groups insist that these faster growing breeds are bred to live a short and painful life.
They're so-called Frankenchickens. That means that they're bred to grow so fast their bodies simply can't keep up.
Hannah is from the animal rights group, the Humane League. They're a group campaigning to end factory farming.
They're often forced to lie in their own poo as a result because their legs are so painful. That's one of the biggest issues we have with factory farming in the UK.
There are 2 acronyms popping up around this story. The SCF, the Sustainable Chicken Forum, and the BCC, the Better Chicken Commitment. Let's start with them. Back in 2017, the BCC, the Better Chicken Commitment, was created and big brands signed up. Its aim was to improve welfare by sticking to slower growing chickens. We asked the Better Chicken Commitment to take part in this film, but they didn't get back to us. So here's Louise to tell us a bit more about them.
The Better Chicken Commitment is an animal welfare-led policy, and it says that poultry houses should offer more light, they should offer enrichment to the birds, and they should be using slower growing breeds And at the end of the whole procedure, there should be what they call a humane slaughter process. But key to the Better Chicken commitment is the stocking density. The industry standard is 38 kilos of bird per square metre. That works out at between 19, maybe even as many as 21 birds in a square metre. That gives each bird roughly a space the size of an A4 page to itself. The Better Chicken commitment stocking density, maximum stocking density, is 30 kilos of bird per square metre. That means 13 to 15 birds. They have more room, more space to roam in, and the theory is that leads to better welfare.
And animal rights groups were pretty supportive of these commitments.
The Better Chicken commitment was designed to eradicate these fast-growing breeds, as well as give chickens more space, give them natural light and enrichment, and really just give them better lives across the board. And charities have been campaigning for years for companies to commit to the Better Chicken commitment as a voluntary commitment to say, we accept that this isn't good enough and we're going to do better.
So, if the likes of KFC, Nando's and other major chicken chains were signed up to the Better Chicken commitment, why did they pull out?
I think the changes we have seen have really come to the point where the industry have said, we can no longer justify the trade-off between our finances and what is demanded in terms of ethical production. And the big issue is that ethically, the RSPCA want you to have slower growing birds, so chickens which take longer to rear to maturity. The industry will say, well, that means then we're sort of losing capacity. We can't produce as many birds in the same amount of time in the same amount of space. So the industry has really said, right, we need to recalibrate to balance those three trade-offs between our net zero goals, our welfare goals, and also just our economics about how much we can charge the consumers for this chicken. And that's where we are right now.
KFC is one of those who dropped out of the commitment and said the huge shift across the market that would be required to move to slower growing breeds hadn't happened. They posted this on their website. Today, we want to see a system where welfare goes hand in hand with environmental improvement and consistent supply of chicken. At the moment, slower growing breeds don't fit into that system as they have a higher environmental impact and would reduce supply. We want to be honest about the system we want to see and our commitment to creating it. And that is why we have helped set up the Sustainable Chicken Forum, which we think can make a real difference in delivering this. And there's the SCF. Remember them? The other acronym? SCF is the Sustainable Chicken Forum. Both the Better Chicken Commitment and Sustainable Chicken Forum sound quite nice, right? So what's the difference?
The Sustainable Chicken Forum is an industry-led approach. It focuses on environmental impact, carbon reduction, and consistent supply. This is about meeting that huge demand for poultry meat. The people behind it say that they can't use slower growing breeds of chickens because they just won't come through quickly enough to meet the demand. Also, they say that these slower growing breeds require more feed during their lives, they emit more greenhouse gases during their longer lives, and they need more water. All of that, these people say, makes these breeds environmentally unfriendly. But it's important to remember that agriculture is all about increasing efficiency, no matter what your size of livestock. And this is what a lot of sectors in agriculture are doing at the minute. And that's about helping to meet net zero aims, reduce carbon impact, and reduce emissions from the sector as well.
Animal welfare groups are not convinced. They say the Sustainable Chicken Forum is greenwashing. Here's Hannah's take.
The Sustainable Chicken Forum is made up of companies who essentially have banded together and colluded to be able to rid themselves of their responsibilities under the guise of sustainability. And I think that we really need to examine the word that they're using here, sustainable. What does that mean? In my mind, and I think a lot of people would agree, that sustainability isn't just about the environment. It's about, is this system able to continue without creating harm? They have no formal goals in terms of welfare or environmental goals. They have no formal independent oversight.
We asked the Sustainable Chicken Forum if they wanted to appear on this programme. They declined, but sent a statement from UK Hospitality, the trade body representing hospitality businesses which have formed the Sustainable Chicken Forum. Their spokesperson, Alan Simpson, said demand for chicken continues to soar. However, this demand comes at a time of acute chicken supply pressures, and operators rightly have to ensure consistent and secure supply chains while continuing to improve welfare standards and cut their environmental impact. I'm pleased that businesses are committed to enhancing their ongoing work across welfare and the environment, and the Sustainable Chicken Forum will play a vital role to make even more progress, as well as overcoming this shared supply challenge. But what's the impact of all of this for Northern Ireland? Well, remember Moy Park. They're the chicken firm that produce more than 30% of the UK's chicken. They've told me that they are the largest producer of better chicken commitment chicken in the UK, all of which is produced on family-run farms in Northern Ireland.
We can't talk about chicken in Northern Ireland without mentioning Moy Park. They are the daddy of the industry here, basically. As well as owning the big processing plants, they also contract with around 700 farmers on both sides of the Irish border. And as well as buying the birds from those farmers, they're also supplying the farmers with the day-old chicks, which are then reared. They are supplying the farmers with feed from their own feed mills, so they know exactly how these birds are being fed.
So, if farmers across Northern Ireland are producing chickens to the better chicken commitment standard, but restaurants want the faster growing chickens, will the farmers have to change? Well, not quite. Moy Park told me that farmers are already growing both types of chicken. They said, "We work with family farmers across Northern Ireland to grow chicken to our customers' specification, which includes free range, organic, higher welfare 30 kg stocking density and better chicken commitment chicken. The majority of our farmers have 2 to 3 poultry sheds and produce to a dedicated standard, thus enabling a diversified offering to our customers." The debate over chicken production standards is divisive, and it's visible. On one side, the better chicken commitment promotes higher welfare practices, including the use of slower growing breeds. On the other, the Sustainable Chicken Forum supports faster growing chickens, arguing they're more environmentally efficient due to lower carbon emissions per bird. Several major food businesses, including KFC, Nando's and Popeyes, have aligned with the Sustainable Chicken Forum. Meanwhile, companies such as Greggs and Marks & Spencer remain committed to the better chicken commitment. With around 95% of consumers eating chicken, demand shapes production. Fast-growing breeds are now an everyday part of the industry and don't look to be going anywhere. Thanks for watching.